Hey guys, I'm excited about being on this call with you tonight. As thank you, Brenda and Aaron and Tish for just putting this call together. And as most of you know, on the invitation, it talked about that my background is I'm a certified financial planner. And so tonight I just wanted to kind of share my journey going from being a certified financial planner to being a national marketing director and how I got from point A to point B. And as the title talks about is exploring plan B. And for me personally, I loved plan A. And plan A worked very well for me for many years, for 10 years. And then I hit a season of life that it no longer made sense to me. And so to give you a little bit of history, when I was in college, I worked at a bank, and as you can tell by the PowerPoint, I love numbers. I love to add them, subtract them, multiply them, you name it. I love to work with numbers, and I learned to love to work with money. And once I got married, I moved to Atlanta, and my husband said, "Hey, there's a job opening that I think may really fit your, where you are and what you want to do." And so I went and I interviewed with a company called Ronald Blue and Company and got the job. And after I was there a few months, I realized that I wanted to pursue this even further. And so I went back to school for another 2 years and continued to work there. And I got my certification as a financial planner. And so I loved it, worked there for, like I said, 8 years. And when I hit 30, I remember having a conversation with my husband, and he just said, we may want to start thinking about having kids. And I thought, well, okay, it's probably about time. And, I may have trouble, so I may as well get started. And we had our first child, Ansley. And I just remember looking at her for the first time thinking, I can't leave her. I can't go back to work. I know there are plenty of people who could take care of her and do well, but I didn't want to miss out on the first time she walked, the first time she talked. Any of those first moments I didn't want to miss out on. And so I went to the firm and I said, "Hey, can I work from home?" And they said, "Sure." So I started working from home, but it really changed the dynamics of the job. I didn't have the opportunity to interact with the clients, and it was more of a number crunching job at this time. And so after about 2 years, I'd had my second child, and I just realized this wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I didn't want to give up being at home, but I didn't want to continue working like this. So I began to consider starting my own business. And as I started thinking about that, so I had about 6 months that I wasn't working as a financial planner, and I was really trying to explore all my options. And I remembered that I had about 5 years ago, I went to a seminar. And many of you have probably heard of Ken Blanchard. He's written like Situational Leadership, with a 1-Minute Manager, Get the Monkey Off Your Back. I mean, he's an incredible business writer and speaker. And so I go to this seminar, and I actually go to a breakout with his wife, Margie Blanchard. And so she had a great talk, and her talk was really got you thinking about the future. And so when we left, she said, "I want each one of you to take an hour sometime today. I want you to get away, go outside, find a quiet place, and I want you to write down what 5 years from now, what you would want your perfect day to look like." And so I thought, wow, that's really a thought-provoking process to go through. And so I took her up on it, and I went and found a little quiet space, and I took about an hour, and I really kind of thought through that whole process. And fast forward 5 years, where I am now, I've just quit my job, and I'm in that season that she had us thinking about. And so I thought, I'm going to go I always save, if I go to any kind of seminars, I save all the books from it. And I thought, I'm going to go and I'm going to look at that book and I'm going to look at the list of things I wrote down of what I wanted out of my perfect day. And as I read, one of them was, I wanted my own business. I wanted to be home with a couple of kids. And I wanted, it's just 15 things I'd written on this piece of paper that I wanted. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I am in a position that Plan A was awesome. It worked great for me, but I was done with Plan A. I was in a new season of life and I needed to find a Plan B. And so tonight, what I'm going to share with you is the four of my top things that I wanted to, what I was looking for in a business. And the first thing was I wanted a meaningful purpose. I'd loved financial planning because I saw the impact it had on people's lives. If your finances are in shambles, pretty much your life is in shambles. And so I wanted, that was meaningful. And the same is true for health. When you think about it, someone's health is not good, everything you think about and everything you do is through that filter of your health and how you're feeling. And so I wanted something that was meaningful, a meaningful purpose. The next thing I wrote is I wanted time freedom. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I didn't want to miss out one thing in their lives. But at the same time, I wanted to have meaning. I wanted to have purpose. And I wanted the freedom, and I've got written there time freedom. I don't even know if that means anything, but what it meant to me was I wanted to have the freedom to control my own time. I'd worked for 10 years, and someone was calling the shots. During spring, I can't tell you how many Easter Sundays I've missed because I was sitting in an office on Easter Sunday working. If we got lucky, April 15th, it was after, Easter fell after April 15th. But if it didn't, I didn't get to enjoy Easter Sunday with my family because I was working. And I just realized, I didn't want to miss out on Easter egg hunts with my kids and going to Sunday, Easter Sunday church with my kids. Those were, I didn't want to miss out on that. And there was that time freedom for me to call the shots and decide what I was going to do with my time and when I was going to do my time. And that was important to me. In this next Plan B, I had to have that kind of control. The next thing that I had that was really important to me was I wasn't looking for a hobby, something to occupy my time. If I wanted to occupy my time, I would go and volunteer my time. But I wanted substantial income, and I didn't want a couple $100 a month. I wanted several $1,000s a month. And so substantial income was right up there on the list. And then the last thing was I missed not being around a group of people and interacting with people that challenged me to grow and to think and to develop myself, both personally and professionally. And so I wanted a business that had that kind of a challenge associated with it. And so I began praying for this business that seemed almost unattainable to me for all the things that I wanted. And as I prayed about it, one day my husband came home and he said, "Hey, guess who I had lunch with?" And I'm like, "Who?" And or who I had breakfast with. And I said, "Who?" He said, "I had breakfast with Ron Blue." And Ron Blue was the managing partner of the financial planning firm I worked with. And he said, his wife is doing this business called Juice Plus. And he said, I said, "Well, did you tell him we were juicing?" Now, one of the benefits to being married to a guy who is very futuristic was the fact that we were always, as a couple, looking for ways to, personal development in all areas in our life to get better at. Well, we were in the season of really focusing on our health. And so he said to me, I said, "Well, did you tell him we were juicing?" And he said, "Yeah, but he's telling me that this Juice Plus is just like juicing, but you don't have to go through all the mess that we're going through." And so he told me that his wife, Judy, would give you a call. And I said, "Perfect." And so Judy calls me and So she tells me what Juice Plus is: 30 raw fruits and vegetables that are vine ripened, that are processed at a low temperature so that the nutrients are maintained. And the more she talked, and that it was supported by science, and the more she talked, the more excited I got. Because at this point, getting a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old to drink juice is crazy. Green juice. And then a husband who travels, nobody was getting it in their system like I wanted, the nutrition I wanted to get in their bodies. We'd had some trial runs with synthetic vitamins and did not have positive results with that. Actually, very negative and almost scary results with vitamins. So I'd done my own research, and I knew it had to come from whole food nutrition. And so Judy said, let me send you, and back then, this is 18 years ago, a cassette tape. And I thought, I thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we need. So my husband comes home and I say, Scott, listen to this cassette tape. And I said, he looked down at it, and I'll just remember the expression on his face. And he said, I don't need to listen to this. And all of a sudden my heart sunk, thinking, oh my gosh, I thought for sure he was going to be on board. And he said, do you know who Dr. Richard Du Bois is? And I said, yes. I said, he is chief of internal medicine at Atlanta Medical. And he said, yeah. He said, Mom worked for him for 25 years. He's been my physician all through my childhood. I don't need to listen to this. If he recommends it, he's a doctor who just relies heavily on science. I trust anything he says. Order it. And so that started our journey with Juice Plus. And what we saw, even though I would have said we were a healthy family, as Dr. Pam Popper says, who wants to be average in a sick society? And we were an average family. And as we started eating Juice Plus, I started seeing changes in our health. I saw my 3-year-old who, whatever virus was going around the preschool, stopped getting the viruses. I saw myself who at 7 o'clock at night, I was falling on the couch and reading a book or watching TV because I had no energy left. And I saw my husband, who would eat Rolaids like they were candy, begin to not need them anymore, and call me on a business trip once, and he said, oh my gosh. He said, I found another thing that Juice Plus is doing for my health. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I forgot Juice Plus at home. And he said, I've had heartburn all week. And instantly what I knew was Juice Plus was truly whole food, and the enzymes were still intact. And what he was getting was the enzymes to help him digest his food. Whereas when he wasn't taking Juice Plus, he was a normal, average American eating, fried food, grilled food, cooked food. He wasn't getting the nutrition he needed and getting those enzymes in his body to help something as simple as digestion take place. And so I knew Juice Plus was working in our body. So I started telling all my friends about it. And my husband came home and we talked about that this was going to be something we're going to do for life. And he said, Elaine, this may be that business you've been praying about. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't sell anything. I'm a numbers person. I'm the person that sits in the back office crunching numbers. And he's like, Elaine, you've got all your friends on this product. At least cover our costs. I know you can do that. And I thought, you know what? He's right. I can do that. I already did it. I had all my friends on it. And so that's when I called Judy and I said, hey, I want to be a rep. I want to do what you're doing. And I think this is the business I've been looking for. So we sat down, and I remember signing that dotted line thinking, I'm not going to just do this as a hobby and make a few $100. I'm not going to do this just to cover our cost. You know what? I'm going to give it all I got. And I said, Judy, how much are you making? And at the time she was making, that was like 18 years ago. She was probably making, she said, I'm making $75,000. And I thought, okay, if she can make $75,000 of this, I know I can make 25. And that was my first goal. We'd given up 50% of our income because I'd quit work. So I wanted to make sure that, I wanted, my dad had always taught me, you never go into debt for anything unless it's an appreciating asset. So, I needed money to save for cars. I needed money to save for my kids' college education. I needed money because I wanted to go on nice vacations. I wanted money for my kids to be in ballet and swimming and cheer and whatever they wanted to do. And so this to me, $25,000 a year, I thought, you know what, I can do this. And so I signed the dotted line and I thought I can make this happen. And that started my journey. But as I got thinking about this call tonight, I thought, you know what, it wasn't just signing that dotted line. That was a huge decision. And that decision, that mental decision I made that it wasn't going to be a hobby, but instead I was going to make it a business. I was going to make it the business I dreamed of. And so when I look back and I think, okay, what are some of the things that contributed to the success that we've got to experience in this business? I realized that I personally had to make an investment in this business. And, when I think about what did I invest? And the first thing I think about was a singular focus on this business. And God bless me right off the bat with the most amazing partner we've worked this business together for 18 years now. And she truly is one of my dearest friends. And that many of you know is Linda Gardner. And I remember calling Linda and we both had, I was room mom and I was, doing this and I was doing that. And I was part of this club and part of that. And she was the same way. We were both very active. And I just said, you know what, Linda, I want to be a national marketing director. And she goes, I do too. And I said, you know what, we got to just, all this not crap, it was good stuff. All this stuff that we're involved in, we got to set it aside. I said, the only thing that I'm going to focus on is my family and this business. And you know what? I'm going to make this happen. And she goes, me too. I'm doing it too. Let's do this. And you know what? If I can encourage anyone is, jump in with the partner, because there were times when this business is, I remember my upline saying to me, Elaine, this business is simple, but it isn't easy. And you need somebody that you literally can lock arms with and run. And Linda was that person for me. And so I just remember both of us committing to each other that this was going to be our single focus. It was going to be Juice Plus, and we were going to national marketing director. The next thing I remember was that constant effort. I was working this business every day. Now, I didn't have a ton of time. I had a husband that traveled Monday through Friday, and I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I did, my mother-in-law worked, and my mother lived, 12 hours away. So I was on my own. And so I thought, I'm going to figure this out. I knew in my heart that I had to work this consistently and I wasn't going to fail. And so I just remember thinking, okay, my oldest was in preschool 3 days a week and my youngest would take a nap. So I thought, you know what? When she took a nap, I knew my youngest was napping. I had 2 hours of her nap. And then I had read this book that talked about creative family times. And it talked about the value of building your kids' intellect. And part of that was teaching them how to think on their own, be by themselves for a period of time every day to really engage their mind and their creativity. And so I thought, I had already been implementing this, and that I'd give, my littlest one, my oldest one was at school, but I would give them an hour in their room where they would read, and I would listen to them on the monitor. And what would crack me up is I just heard their vocabulary getting better. They were talking to themselves. They were reading books to themselves. And, one of the funniest things is one of my daughters she loved to take all the clothes out of her drawers. So she would pull the drawers open and she would drag all the clothes out and fold them. And I don't know what she did with those clothes, but she loved taking the clothes off the hangers and pulling the clothes out of the drawer. And you know what? I thought I could take 10 minutes. I can put all that stuff back away later on tonight. But for now, I had an hour that she was occupied and she was learning and growing and developing herself. And I knew she was okay. And so I used that 3-hour span during the day to work my Juice Plus business. And once they went to bed at night, then, once they were all home and, we went to the park, we read, we did all the stuff that I wanted to do with them. But for 3 hours a day, I got a chance to really build this business. And then at 2 hours at night, I would plan for the next day. Who am I going to call? Who am I going to meet with? Who am I going to have coffee with? Who am I going to share Juice Plus with? Who am I going to share this business with? And so I planned at night and made phone calls at night. And then during the day, I worked this business in consistent effort. And that number 3 I figured out my time commitment. A lot of times we'll hear, I work this business in stolen moments. Well, my stolen moments, I knew I wanted national marketing director, and it literally took, and maybe there are people out there who have figured it out, but for me, it took me, I worked this business 25 hours a week. And it took that time frame and that time commitment gave me unbelievable rewards. And then the last thing that I invested in this business, just like in the financial planning realm, when it comes to an investment, somebody's got to be managing it. Somebody's got to be working it. Someone's got to be thinking about what's my next move? Who do I talk to? An investment isn't, investments are passive income, but there is investment required to make that investment grow and build and be valuable. And that's what I knew with this business. And the last thing, just like any investment, I have to be able to, an investment is a risk. Now, fortunately with Juice Plus, it is it's not a financial risk. $50, you're going to spend that going out to dinner on a weekend. So it's not a financial risk, but what it is, it's a personal risk. You have to be willing to risk your reputation to say, I'm going to do this business. I've seen people who will just dip their toes in the pool, the Juice Plus business pool, and I'm like, no. I mean, it's fine if you just want this as a hobby or you want to offset your cost. But if you want this as a business, you got to dive in. You got to take the risk. It is a risk to stand up. And I remember one of my first distributors saying, Elaine, hey, will you do an event for me and tell people, I'm going to get a bunch of people to my house. Will you tell them about Juice Plus? I'm like, absolutely. And I remember hanging up the phone and thinking, what have I just committed myself to? I don't know what I'm doing. And I just launched my public speaking career that night. And when I made that commitment to her, but it was a risk. But you know what? It was worth it. It was so worth it. And, another risk is a lot of times you'll get a pushback on, oh my gosh, is this network marketing, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It was a big deal back then. It's not so much now because that's how we do business. We do business online. If I could buy everything and never have to shop online, and I pretty much do that, that's the world we live in today. So it's not as big of a deal today, but it was kind of a big deal back then. But I just thought, you know what? This is a risk I'm willing to take because I believe in this product and I know what it's done for me. And, I could spend an hour telling you stories, and I'm so grateful that Aaron and Brenda and Tish are launching this series of people telling their health journey with Juice Plus. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt, this product was bulletproof. So I was not worried about, I thought, you know what, it's worth my risk and my reputation because I knew what the product had done for me. And I'd seen it in just the few people I'd shared it with. And so it was a risk, but man, it was a risk I was willing to take. And so that was the investment that I was willing to take the risk and to tell Juice Plus to just about everyone I knew. I was willing to take the risk and invite people to join me on this journey because I knew I knew if Judy blew, could make 75,000, I knew I could make 25,000. And quite frankly, I knew I could make 75. And my first goal was 25,000. When I hit it, my next goal was 50. Then my next goal was 75,000. That's what I was making as a financial planner, and back 18 years ago. And so that was my goal, was could I, in 20 to 25 hours a week, could I replace my full-time income? More than my full-time, because I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week during tax season. And I hit it. And then my next goal was, could I crack 6 figures at home with 2 kids for doing 20, 25 hours a week? And I did. I did that in 3 years. And so, and people are doing that much quicker today with social media and the internet. And so all we had back then was cassettes. So I'm telling you, it is totally possible. But let me tell you what the rewards were. And this is, anytime you invest in something, first you do the due diligence and you reach out. And that's what I was doing, was looking for a business that plan B that worked for me. Plan A didn't work anymore. It was gone. And I didn't want it. I wanted a new opportunity that fit my lifestyle and fit the season of life that I was in. But I knew I had to invest in it. It does. You know what? This is a business. And, a hobby, you kind of do it whenever you have spare time. But if you want to turn this into a plan B, you're going to have to invest in it. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I don't. I consistently have worked this business day in and day out, week in and week out, year in and year out, 20 to 25 hours a week. And it has produced an unbelievable return on my investment. And so here's what I've got to experience. First and foremost, it has given me freedom to choose. It gave me an opportunity to see my girls grow up. I didn't miss one ballet recital, one cheerleading competition, one track meet, one swim meet, one event at school, one anything that my girls did. I didn't miss anything, not a thing. And that freedom of choice is huge. It is huge. And I say this all the time. I absolutely love to work, but if I had to work and be taken away from my family when I didn't want to be, I would resent it. And so that freedom to choose is huge. And if anyone read Kim McCall's post on her summer and her realization of a reminder of this freedom, you have to go read her post because it will bring tears to your eyes. The next thing is peace of mind. As a financial planner, I worked with a lot of widows, and these were widows who had 10 million plus in net worth. It wasn't the fact they were fearful of, well, I don't know what their fear was. Their money was there, but the money was there. They could never spend that money, but there was still a fear about them, and they didn't have peace of mind. And what I realized with this business was it didn't matter how much money maybe you had in the bank, but what this business brought to me from a business standpoint was that I knew I could generate income. So even if, heaven forbid, something happened to my Juice Plus business, what this business has taught me over 18 years is I do have it in me to build a business. I could turn around and build another business tomorrow because of the skills I've learned and because of the confidence that it built. And so it's more than having an income stream. It's knowing that peace of mind that you have what it takes to build a lasting and stable business. And if anything happened to this one, I could crank up another one. And I know that sounds kind of arrogant, and I'm not meaning it to be, but I'm telling you, that's the peace of mind it brought. The other peace of mind it brought is just simply in the product of knowing, as a mom and as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as a sister-in-law, as a daughter-in-law, I have the peace of mind knowing that my family is getting the absolute best nutrition they can. Does that mean that no one's ever going to get sick? No, it's not. But what does it mean? It means they got the best fighting chance to whip whatever comes their way because of the nutrition flowing through their body. The third thing is the income stream. I didn't want just a few $100. I wanted an income stream that had a huge bottom line to it. And just knowing, I've got a husband who's proud of the work I've done and excited and pumped. I'm telling you, money speaks when it comes to men. And he has been there a lot by my side every step of the way. And just to have the income stream coming in, at this season of life, we're in a different season now. But when that income stream was so important, I was excited to be able to step alongside my husband and take care of what needed to be taken care of the home so he could travel and do what he needed to do, but also still be able to reach those goals and those dreams that I had. And the fourth thing, which is probably my absolute favorite return on my investment in this business, is the ability to give. And I'm telling you, there are three things that besides my Juice Plus business, there are three things that I'm passionate about when it comes to giving and being generous. And the first and foremost is my two daughters. And this business has given us an opportunity to create etched memories. We have traveled all over the place. My husband and I have gotten to take our kids. In May, we took our daughters to Cabo St. Lucas, and we got to flyboard. And, I think the flyboard, that was such an experience. If you've never done that before, it's where you're out in the middle of the ocean and you're like 15 feet off the water, and you've got like these moon boots on, and the pressure from the water is literally, you're balancing in the air about 15 to 20 feet in the air. And the opportunity that we had in this beautiful setting in the middle of the ocean, and that memory will always be there. And getting to do that with my kids and my two daughters who are in college now, watching them dive in the water and then shoot back up high out of the air in the water. It's a memory that my girls and my husband and I will never forget. Last year we rented a catamaran and we sailed and hit all the Grecian islands. 5 islands, Greek islands, and got to walk out of our hotel villa and on Santorini and just see an incredible view there. And we've gotten to go to South Africa on safari, and we've traveled to Europe. And there's memories that my girls are getting, my oldest is about to graduate from college, and, she's going to have a life of her own. And those opportunities are going to be fewer and far between. But this business has provided us an opportunity to create memories that will never escape their memory. The next thing that my husband and I are really passionate about, and that is investing in young married couples. And last night we got to go to downtown Atlanta and to an incredible restaurant with a newlywed couple who we just got to invest in them and buy them an awesome meal. When you're first married, you have no money. So it was, just that opportunity to be generous and not have to worry about it. And that's what this business has provided. And then the last thing, and I hope I don't cry because this is very near and dear to my heart, and that is 7 years ago, we began investing in a village of about 700 people in Adachar, Uganda. And this is a village of people who've been ravished by war, by famine, by malaria, by AIDS, by warlords. And it just, literally 3 generations of people are just missing because they're dead. And so here's like 300, 400 kids who are double orphaned. And when I first visited there, was my oldest daughter who caught the vision for this village. And when I first visited there, the kids were running. Imagine 300 kids just kind of running wild. Nobody was in school. The poor little things, they half the time they didn't have any food for that day. It just broke your heart. I mean, ripped your heart out. And that was 7 years ago. And I've been there now 4 times over the last 7 years. And this past July, I got to go visit again. And to see these kids, and I need to update my Facebook cover page, because I got to see, visit some of these kids who now have moved on to secondary school. They're in boarding school, and I got to visit several boarding schools where the efforts that we've been putting into this village, these kids are now in secondary school. One wants to be an engineer, another an attorney, another one an artist. And there were just to see them and see what this investment into this village has done. I can't even tell you the excitement of being able to be generous and having the money to travel there. And we see this village now has gardens and a well and a care point, and we're working on helping them build their economy. They've got chickens and oxen, and they're doing well. And the kids are in school, and there's money to pay the teachers. And so just, seeing the opportunity, not only that the return on the investment on my own personal life, but also to see it, pay it forward to this remote village in Adachar, Uganda. It blows me away that these are the opportunities that this business is providing and the return on the investment of the last 18 years. The other 2 things that just jump out to me is, in the beginning was kind of about, can I be successful in this business? And I wasn't sure, but you know what? I was willing to give it a try, and I was willing to take a risk. And now what I see is the significance beyond the success that this business has provided is the significance in who I am, and just that I'm making a difference on many levels. And it's this business that has been placed before me, and I took the risk, and the return is unbelievable. And to me today, to know that if I died tomorrow, that I've had an impact on my world, and I want to have a bigger impact. And that's my goal, is to keep building and growing, and then using the benefits and the return that I've received to pay it forward and invest in other people's lives. And then lastly is just the growth that you get to experience blows me away. I'm not the person I was 18 years ago. And I like the person I am today and the person I'm becoming. And I've got a long way to go and a lot of growth to take place, but I can't wait to grow and to stretch and to take bigger risks and to move forward. And that's what this business, the return on the investment in this business. And, I don't know if Juice Plus is your plan B, but I'm telling you, for me, I can't imagine anything better. And I invite you to take a risk and invest in this business. And I guarantee you, if you invest time, energy, effort, and you take the risk, I guarantee you're going to have an unbelievable return on your money, on your investment. And so I invite you to get back with the person who invited you on this call, and let's make it happen. I love this. I heard Dr. Du Bois speak the other day, and I love this, how he said this, how he ended his talk. He said, we need more boots on the ground. We need more people out there sharing this message of whole new whole food nutrition. So if you're like me and you've outgrown Plan A, or Plan A failed you, I'm telling you what, this Juice Plus Plan B is phenomenal.